Hello everybody, welcome to the next in a series of campaign videos. It's important to understand that this is me campaigning for a third term on the seat I currently occupy with the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Board of Trustees. That might mean school board where you're at. Now there's a lot of noise in the background. There always is. These are from a fan and an air conditioner running to cool off what is my guitar shop. Oh, I have a couple guitars as usual I'm going to talk to you about. These are specifically election related and they just dropped in my lap and I can't believe it. Truth is stranger than fiction. Anyway, let's do the disclaimer. I'm Ken, acting as a candidate. I'm an incumbent. I currently sit on the board, and I don't want you thinking that my opinions represent those of the district or any of my counterparts that service the public in their capacity as board members right now. So store that one away. This is going to go into a playlist that I'm going to give you a link to right up there, right about now, called School Board Insider. And we took a look at the different relationships board members have with different people and how they interact, sometimes in closed session, sometimes with the superintendent, sometimes with the staff. And now we're kind of getting to what happens when you have interactions with the public. Now, whether you like it or not, when you're sitting on the board, or if you're running for it, you have to realize people are going to present opinions that you may fully agree with, you may completely disagree with, but it is your job, your responsibility to present those opinions for they can be considered, sometimes in open session. I'm going to give you some examples of times that I have had to present opinions because, well, people are afraid to, they physically can't, or they lack some element that allows them to do that for themselves. So let's start there. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. People are entitled to an opinion. Now, if I am discussing my personal opinion with you, and you are telling me your opinion, that doesn't make us enemies. It doesn't make either one of us the bad guy. And not everybody needs to know everything about everything for them to have an opinion that is valid, because most people base their opinions on what they know. So, for example, there are decisions that are made by board members that are not understood by the public only because the public does not have all the facts, and sometimes they can't have all the facts because law prevents it. And episode up there called Secrets of Closed Session will explain that to you. But the point here is that your opinion may be very different than mine. I may have more knowledge, but that does not affect the validity of your opinion as you see it and express it. And sometimes that provides an opportunity for me as a public servant to get a wake-up call that, hey, you know, you're kind of just floating along, you've gotten in a groove, or an opportunity to tell someone, hey, a couple things you're missing, I can't really tell you what they are. Maybe I can give you a theoretical, but it doesn't invalidate your opinion. Now, as a candidate, you may find people being highly critical of a number of things about you. The way you look, your personality, your standing as, I hate to say this, but a church member. Again, I'm going to tell you, I am not the perfect government servant. I am not the perfect employee. I'm not the perfect parent. I'm not the perfect church member. I am not the perfect person. So take that to the bank. But if you are running for public office or sit in public office, those things are going to hit you every once in a while. And I'm going to read an example of that is highly critical of me about a lot of different things. Of course, I'm going to keep it anonymous, and I'm not going to comment after I read it. I'm going to give you a preface on me and kind of how I see things, especially when it comes to understanding and making constituent opinions known, even when they are just terrible inflections of what you are about personally. It comes with the territory. So let's talk real quick about what the limitations a candidate or a holder of public office can expect and what protections, if any. Okay, I want to explore the theory of privilege. You've heard of attorney-client privilege, which all goes back to the Fifth Amendment. You don't need, there's no requirement that you indict yourself. You follow me? Take the Fifth, that's where that comes from. Privilege is something that is shared between, for example, a married couple. I don't have to indict my spouse through testimony. That can be a two-way sword. If I do things that benefit somebody else, privilege. Say, for example, I'm sitting on the school board, and my spouse is an employee of the district, and it comes time to vote for something that would bring more money or more benefits into my household that I would benefit from. That privilege would require me, in good faith, to abstain from either the discussion, the closed session considerations, and finally the ultimate vote on whether or not I would vote on something that would benefit. So there are other privileges. A judge, police officers, board members have a privilege to be protected from being charged with something or sued when they really believe they are acting in the best interest of the oath they took. Now, if they get way out of bounds over there, yeah, now we're talking about some other things that we covered in the playlist, especially when it comes to board member superintendent and board member staff relationships. So check that out. But people have the ability to say just about anything they want about you as a public official, whether you like it or not. Now, some people consider the things that people are saying, especially if they're broadcasting them. So let's say, for example, someone makes a statement to you. They express an opinion. That's not publication. That's just, I am telling you. Now, I can go and tell this person said this about me and I feel damaged. Well, that's called hearsay. Unless somebody else hears it, sees it, whether it's in print or broadcast or whatever. Yeah, nothing you can do. It comes with being a public official. Now, there's one little variance of that, and that's if you can show and prove that someone has maliciously intended to defame you or misrepresent what you're all about, so they have some benefit, or their employer would have some benefit. Perfect example. Someone is taking me apart constantly, or other people who fill the same position I do, for a number of years, and using any means to publish it, meaning a newspaper, videos, television, or whatever. And then they turn around and it's found that they are running for the office themselves or have privilege to someone else it is. So think that out. Other than that, you sitting in your chair as a public official have to deal with it. It comes with the territory. Now, I want to tell you kind of what I'm known for. If you haven't figured out my videos, I mean, I don't really change that much if I'm a candidate or I'm working as a school board person. Same way at work. You get me in the hallway when the cameras come on at council meetings or commission meetings. Yeah, Ken tightens it up a little bit out of respect for the people who are elected or appointed that I serve to inform for them to make decisions on behalf of their constituents. But I will tell you what it's all about. They say I speak truth to power, and you can either like that or not, but it's kind of taken me down a path, and I'll tell you about that path. When I first started off with the business of interacting with school people, especially administrators, it was over a nonverbal child. Now, since then, my hobby, just about everything, has taken me down a path where I'm known to be the loud one that will speak for people that either physically can't, have some limitation in their ability to do so, or be represented, even though they might not realize that they need to be represented, or people that are just flat out afraid to make their opinion known for fear that someone's going to retaliate against them. So out of all things, I'm known for that. Now let's take a look at where that has taken me. Somebody that I made a guitar for early on explains it way better than I can up here in this video. Thank you, Margaret Garrett. Now, I'm going to take a little time to explain something else because I'm going to use another card or link, but a local paper in Santa Clarita did an article about my guitars and gets deep, deep into why I do what I do, and some of the people that I help through my guitars. It gets into the specifics of what their condition is like and how it makes them unable to speak for themselves, either physically, cognitively, or by grouping of some demographic, and I'll leave that one there. I'm going to give you a link to this article down below in the information section. And then finally, when we get into a broader audience out in the United States and another geographical region, some guitars I've sent out benefit those people who have speech impediments that stop them from being able to, say, sing. And I know someone that can play slide guitar really well but can't sing, and uses the slide to augment the playing as if they were singing. And there's a link to an episode I did on my guitar channel called Speaking for Those That Cannot. And it's older than this one, of course. This is not a push to sell guitars. In fact, the only time you'll see my guitars come up is when they come up at raffles for like the boosters and the music organization and things like that within the district. And I enjoy doing that. But I am known to speak for those that can't, especially those with impairments and those that are repressed. So keep that in the back of your mind, and I think I've given you enough third-party information to be objective about that. Okay, I've given you some stuff to refer to, whether it's up in the links or down below, and these are the opinions of others as they relate to me as a person. Again, I've done the disclaimer about not being the perfect everything, and I don't think any of us are, and because I'm outspoken, the things I say can be polarized pretty easily. But let's talk about my role, what my role is. Now, you can loosely say that board members are to do this in governance, and most of the stuff we do is 80%, 90%. Calendared, and every once in a while we'll have to make a decision. Sometimes they're stuff that's pretty controversial. I also want to tell you that if there are 5 voters, a majority would be 3 or 4. And let's say that I know how my counterparts are likely to vote, and I know that the vote might not be popular. I could basically vote no, either to make a point. Let's say I'm talking about a settlement and I don't want the facts buried, so I vote no. I get outvoted, but there's still a point being made. Or I know that the decision is going to be very unpopular, so I kind of go, okay, I'm going to vote no. That way the public that doesn't understand why it's being made is going to think I'm a hero. And especially during election year, bingo, that's a winner. Sometimes people get elected to the board and they've been very loud. And then, I've said this before a million times, you go back in the back room, your first board meeting, and one of the board members says this person's been very vocal, they cannot continue to be that way. The attorney needs to sit them down and bring it up to speed. And then they come out and it's like, oh, I didn't know that. And then all of a sudden they're seen as, well, I actually had someone tell me in front of witnesses, I ran for board because people were telling me, they named the people, they wanted me to take you out. But once I got here, I didn't see that. A person started talking about to the community, let's just bring this all together. I don't understand why everybody's fighting and all these underground perceptions are going on. And apparently that wasn't popular. So all of a sudden you fall out of favor with, wait a minute, it's my handler, I got to take this call. No, I don't. That kind of stuff can happen. So let's talk about my specific role. I've made this crystal clear. I am here, number one, to make sure that we have a conservative approach to our funding. Our ADA has been fluctuating. There wasn't a lot of attention given to that. I'm not going to go through that again, but the enrollment has been dropping. When enrollment drops, and you don't have enough to fund your programs, and you don't have the charter revenue coming in for free anymore because the court said it's not legal, your programs sink. Then your decisions become emotionally based. You are watching people get laid off. You're watching programs diminish because you can't afford them. The only hedge against that, if you don't have enough ADA, is your reserve. So I've been very stingy with the reserve. Now, the enrollment is going up. We had more than 100 kids come in unexpectedly. What does that mean? It means that people are hearing, they're seeing, they're moving in, they're coming in from elsewhere. And they're saying, hey, I want to go there, I want to check it out. Is it going to be a fit for everybody? But funding comes from students that want to attend your school. Bottom line. Next, there are threats to the funding. They come in the form of settlements. They could come from any number of ways. I'm not going to talk about that. Remember, closed session secrets. There's things I can't tell you. My job, in addition to being responsible and conservative with the funding that is in the reserve so it can get us through to the point where we are self-sufficient and the teachers and administrators are making that happen with these huge increases. I can't just get on and say, hey, you need to come to our school, and they suddenly show up, please. This is based on the hard work and focus of our administrators and staff, bottom line. It's my job to make sure that once the money is there, that it's not squandered away in settlements because we have procedural issues or perceptions, and the staff can't be supported in the way they need to be. Now, the third thing that's important is I have to support the programs, the signature programs that this district has developed and is implementing to attract more students, to retain them, to bring more, but not to make it one of these things where it just happens, hey, newsflash, then we forget about it, and through no maintenance things drop down into mediocrity. That's my role. Without 1 and 2, number 3 can't happen. Do I have anything to do with number 3? Not at all. Not other than to support it by being loud and aggressive in number 1 and 2. That's why I'm there. I know why I'm there. I don't have to run around and seek community popularity or create odd platforms or besmirch other people. Again, you like me or you don't, but I'm good at number 1 and 2, and that's important for number 3 to happen. Don't give me any credit for number 3. Thank the administrators and the teachers. That's the bottom line. That's who I am. You may not like it, and the comment will show that. At the end of the day, let's talk about how I communicate things that represent the opinions of my constituents. That's really what this is all about. So the board, typically, since I came on and got things, people believing this way, would rotate a president every year. I can't guarantee that will happen, but that was my motive. So everybody has the opportunity to land their little specific piece once they identify their role and make it significant, and 5 people work together to get those students moving ahead. Remember number 3 I just talked about. So I have always been the one that will say, hey, somebody is representing this position, they'll stand at the microphone. If you stand at the microphone and attack me for what I am, basically, yeah, I'm going to kick back. Board can sanction me. You can get an attorney to do whatever you want to do. But, yeah, I am not going to lay down while you hide behind some privilege when you attack me. Sorry. But I give you the reasons to attack me. Stick to those, please. Anyway, when I was president of the board in 2020, there were numerous times, especially during COVID, where people wanted an opinion expressed. They had a desire. I'm not going to get into the politics of all that. I don't want to do this. I don't want to subject my child to this. I don't think people have the right to do this. Any number of things. I may believe in everything they were saying. I might believe in nothing they were saying. But the minutes and the videos of the school board meetings will show that on numerous occasions, I read into open record public comments presented anonymously for fear of retribution. For fear of retribution. I didn't have to agree with it. Sometimes they were everything that I didn't agree with. Sometimes they were everything I did agree with. But in my role as a public representative, my personal opinion has nothing to do with anything. But I would be the one to read those into the record. Today still stands. If someone were to ask me to read what I'm about to read to you into the record, anonymously, for fear of, I don't know, me, other people, whatever, I would gladly do that, even if it were very detrimental to the perception that I'm a candidate for the election, whatever. So, that said, I'm going to read the statement. I'm not going to comment on it. There's a reference to a religious organization in it. When I say religious organization, that's what that means. I'm going to read it in its entirety, everything about it, punctuation and everything. And then respect the person's opinion, even if it's at my expense. It's their opinion. They are completely entitled to it, and I have no doubt they believe strongly everything they said. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going to jump to these mystery election guitars I'm talking about. You will not believe this, but here it is. Okay, here we go. I am mind-boggled and appalled at your videos and how you portray stay-at-home moms, our boosters, and so many other things. I have a lot of family involved in the religious organization, and they would be flabbergasted to see one of their brothers saying the things you say. You 100% do not have my support or respect, Mr. Pfalzgraf, and many, with many capitalized. Others feel the same, but fear the consequence of speaking up, ... I have nothing to hide and have no fear of what you can say or try to do to me, ... You, sir, are a disgrace and all that is wrong with our wonderful school district. Okay, so as always, I will close out with what's going on around me. These may show up sometime, maybe even in your future if you pull the right ticket. But I left Norwalk, California, where I filed my papers. I pulled them online and then went to Norwalk and completed my filing as a candidate. And I had been talking to someone in French Valley, which is out by Temecula, out in that area, about a specific guitar. So I went and found it, and it's this one. Beautiful old arch top, quite resonant. I think I talked to you about a guitar that had binding on the top only. That was a 1940 Harmony Patrician. That's the only year that they made the one with the binding, remember, because corporate wanted to save some money. The only person that made any money off of that was people that have a 1940 Harmony Patrician. Now, then the gentleman who gave me a great price on this once he understood what I do with these, said, I have another guitar. So remember, it's election day. What country would you say is probably the least desirable to be associated with in recent elections? So he brings out this guitar. I usually like guitars with F-holes that look like a cello, and certainly arch tops. See, it's arched, it's not flat. Makes it more resonant. He said it's a flat top acoustic, so he brings out this one. Now, this is a cool guitar. It sounds great. Even though I can't play guitar. Great shape, looks good, but what do you know? Look at what it says on the headstock, CCCP, and inside the guitar are labels from his country of origin. That's right, you guessed it, Russia. Fact is stranger than fiction. So, hey, do your homework. So let's close this up by number one, getting rid of this thing as fast as possible before the rumors start that I'm somehow tied to the Soviet Union in my election, and pick this one back up. But guys, if you're watching this 10 years from now, listen to the voice of experience. Don't be afraid to speak your opinion. Don't be afraid to be yourself. The more you're yourself and the more you have a personality like mine, the more stuff's going to come your way. But your measure will ultimately be, do you represent the opinions of your constituents, even when they're not convenient for you to do so? So think about that. Appreciate you watching. I appreciate your consideration on November 8th, 2022.